Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Human music. I like it. I like it.
Hey, helps if I unmute my microphone. Hello, everyone. How's it going? It is Monday, February 5th, and you are here for episode 62, Rhev's Palaver. I've been doing this for over a year, Lissane. I've been doing the Rhev's Palaver since I started in January last year.
That's kind of crazy. Especially since our first Palaver was, in, April or May?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you're asking me to remember a thing?
I know. Double goldfish memory.
Listen, I think everyone here who is watching already knows my wonderful, lovely, amazing, talented, and super awesome guest tonight. Hi, Lissane of twitch.tv/Lissane. So I don't even need to plug you. I don't need to, but
I don't mind.
I see my soulmate on the bed behind you.
Oh, actually, that's a blanket.
Oh my god, I thought it was my co-host.
But she normally is sort of within that blanket, so it's fair. She's locked out right now. Whoop, she's locked out.
Locked out?
Yeah, she just happened to be out in the living room, so she got shut out.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I see a tail floof, so I know that the fat Twinkie is with you.
Yes, the Twinkie's always here.
Yeah, all right.
Never not.
Never not. Corn has once more fused with the environment. Hello, Grant Wilson, and hello, everyone in chat. Thank you for showing up so nice and early. We're just going to have a chill palaver today, because this is, let's say, I almost just said your real name.
That's okay.
Okay.
I mean, people know my name. It's not a big deal.
All right. If I slip, it's not a big deal. But this is Lissane's third time on the palaver, so we've done all the typical, streaming, blah, blah, blah. And so we're not going to really get too much into that. But there is one thing I did want to talk about streaming with you, which is you did about 4 or 5 weeks where you were doing the evening, and then you just recently went back to mornings. And I personally noticed a big change in the energy when you went to evening streaming. And the whole time you were streaming in the evening, you had a real different energy than the mornings. I don't know, did you feel that?
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is probably the fact that I could get away with drinking on evening streams, and I get very goofy when I drink, so it was I could have a beer or two while I was streaming, whereas if I was doing that in the morning, people would probably question it a little bit. Unless you're drinking a Bloody Mary or a mimosa, it's not super socially acceptable to drink in the morning. But it's different, because I feel like I have the most energy for streaming, at least, right when I'm waking up and doing it. I always feel very bubbly and excited. And then I was doing those evening ones, and it was more I felt like I was winding down for the evening and getting ready for bed, even though at the time I was staying up till 4 a.m.
Yeah, you would end your stream at 11 o'clock midnight, but then you'd be up for another 4 or 5 hours talking in Discord, so...
Yeah.
But I also noticed there was a difference in your general attitude, and I don't want to say this wrong, but you seemed more for lack of a better term, please don't take this the wrong way, but you seemed a little more terse and a little more aggressive energy in the evening.
Oh yeah. I mean? Yeah, probably also the alcohol. I get fighty when I drink.
I love drunk Sane. I mean...
I know.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean... I don't know. There was the one night where I just kind of pulled out the bottle of wine and just kept going until it was gone. It was a good night, though. I think that was one of Sammy's favorite clips was I taught someone in the chat, one of my friends, how to use a corkscrew, and that was a good time. Yeah.
There was also I remember I had to go away for about an hour and a half, and you had a clip in the morning at the beginning of your stream where you were oh, I'm not gonna get drunk. I just have some wine here, and I'm just gonna have a drink or two. And you open it, and you poured yourself a glass, and obviously it was a wine glass, not this, but it was whoop right up to the top, and I'm oh, it begins. And then I came back an hour and a half later, and shortly after coming back, you're how is all of the wine gone? As you're shaking the bottle over your glass. I was oh, yes.
I I think we were just talking about this in Discord today. Like, this is why I don't normally, this is why I'm not a wine drinker, because it goes down easily and it makes you feel horrible after. Like,
Yeah.
it's just too easy to drink and too strong.
I think it's all the sugar.
I do too. And like the tannins. I don't know. I'm not a wine person, but I just know like wine gets me drunk very fast and it makes me feel like crap.
Yes. Well, it makes me feel like crap the next day. You feel wonderful while I'm drinking it.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. We
I
learned that from our many drinking streams.
Oh, that was another one on one of our drinking streams. You're like, I'm going to take it kind of easy. You know, I'm not going to... And then Sammy was on and you're like, yeah, I'll do shots. And I was like, oh, Sammy's done 2 shots in the first hour. This is going to be a good one.
I learned my lesson a little bit, though, because I was cutting my shots with LaCroix. So I was, like, doing, like, quarter shots, you know? Or, you know, maybe some of them are just LaCroix. You never know on the drinking stream. Sammy brings out the best of me.
My Darth Beck says Mama and Papa. Oh, I love you, Bex.
Aww. I love it.
Hi, JT. My wife said, you know, why don't you just pretend pour like a shot, like just pretend. No one can see how much is in the shot glass. I'm like, where's the fun in that? And she's like, but then you won't be hungover the next day. I'm like, yeah, but again,
yeah,
I don't know. That doesn't feel right.
I know, especially like, it would feel maybe a little deceitful to do it that way. I can get away with it because I'm just like joining in, you know, but I understand why you wouldn't want to.
Well, the other thing too is as I've said many times during the drinking stream, like I'm 40, I know how to drink. One time during my drinking stream, I had too much, you know, but otherwise... And it was the night that Coyote and Shiki were here in real life.
Yeah. The only one I missed.
Oh my God.
The only one, because it was like a Friday. Like, I literally had no idea that all was going to happen. That was ridiculous.
It was, that was the only time I ever drank too. But that was actually not even so much the drinking on stream. It was because we ended the stream and then we stayed on Skype and kept drinking for another 3 hours. Like... Mm-hmm. Until pretty much everyone passed out and Coyote and Shiki got in bed here and Bob got in bed with them and started like fondling the both of them, was like, so this is going to happen, right?
I've heard that story.
Like, Bob, I don't know if we're comfortable with this. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll leave.
Yeah. Oh, Bob.
That's Bob. But while we agree that wine is not so good, we both do enjoy the beers.
Mm-hmm.
And you have recently undertaken a wonderful journey, a wonderful, magical trip into the world of home brewing.
I have. It's been very exciting.
What brought that on? Like, was it something you just always wanted to do?
Oh, yeah. Like, always wanted to do it. And then it was kind of like after Christmas time, like, we had... It's like some money from people because family members give you cards with like cash in them, you know, and we're like, and then my husband was like, maybe we should finally like homebrew. And I'm like, don't you put that seed in my head because now I want to, because I've wanted to for ages, but it's just, you okay?
Yeah, you're like, oh, if you're going to twist my arm.
Yeah, I know. So it was like, I always was like, no, I can't do it. We don't have room because like the typical like batch size you brew for homebrew is 5 gallons, which obviously requires a giant pot, and you can't do that like on a kitchen stove. You have to have like a big propane burner set up outside and that whole deal. And I don't have that room because I'm in an apartment. But we were like, well, what if we like scale it down and do like apartment size batches? So we went down from like a 5-gallon batch to like a 1.5 gallon batch, which gets you like a fair bit still. Like it's still plenty with the turnover time to have like a decent amount of beer. Also, I like trying a lot of stuff, so it's just an excuse to do it more often and make more kinds.
Well, I think it's fair to say that you're a creative, crafty type person, and you know, I get that. You know, it's fun to try something new and like, oh, I
Yeah.
want to try my hand at this. Do you
Yeah,
have
I
the
love
big
variety.
glass carboys and everything?
I have two of them right behind me right now.
Oh yes, yes. I have to tell you, I've had my interest in home brewing for a long time, but
Mm,
because of my arthritis, like I can't drink beer, and so
I know.
it just feels like a lot of money to invest in something I probably won't really get that into. But man, I for years and years and years, I've always known people who have been into it, and it always just seems like such a lot of fun.
It
How
is.
many
It's chill, yeah.
how many batches have you done so far?
Uh, five, but one was an experiment that didn't work out. But so four like successful ones. And then two, the first two, which we did in the beginning of January, just got bottled. So we actually tried a bottle of one of them the other day, even though it was like a week early, and it was good, but it still needs a little more time. But yeah, that was like weirdly satisfying to like pop a beer and open it and pour it and be like, I made this. Like start to finish, like I made grains into alcohol, you know? That was weird.
Now what you got to do is you got to buy a farm and then
I
actually grow your
know.
own wheat, and then
Ugh,
you'll really be like, aha, I'm a beer maker.
I know. I don't even know how that would even be possible. It's like crazy. They have a homebrew store by us. It's like a fermentation store, they call it, because they have like cheese, wine, kombucha, beer, like everything. But they have a grain room, and you go in there, and there's like 50 different grains along the wall that are like different, like roastinesses and like bitternesses and like all the different flavors. It's crazy. So it's like even if you grew wheat, it's like what would your variety be like, you know?
Well,
It's
I imagine that
crazy.
you would tailor your beer to whatever type of wheat you're using. Like for me, I think that one of
Hmm.
the best beers I've ever had was like an unfiltered rye IPA, and
I
it
have one
just
of those in my fridge.
sweet.
Yeah, I know.
I
I
can
bought it
taste
was
it.
a tangerine rye IPA when I was in Michigan, and it was very good. I love rye.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
same here. Oh man, I gotta. We may have
I
to do an
know.
impromptu drinking stream at some point. I'll have to go and get some craft beers.
That'd be
Mm.
fun. I wouldn't
You,
mind that.
I live. So I live in the Finger Lakes region, and it's known for being wine country. Like there's
Yeah.
tons of vineyards around, and tons of world famous vineyards that produce wines. But there's actually been a research, or I don't know about research, but a growth lately in small microbreweries around the Finger Lakes lately, and it's
That's
because
awesome.
it's all farmland. So
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense. I feel like those two things go very hand in hand too, because I feel like people who can appreciate like fine alcohol try to appreciate all of it. And like even for me, like I'd love to get more into wine, but it's just like alcohol is an expensive hobby, so you have to kind of pick what area you want to get into. Like even it's hard for me because I really like the whiskeys and like bourbon and trying those too, but you can't try a lot of bourbon because a bottle of bourbon is very expensive, especially nice bourbon. So that one's a little different to explore.
you don't have to tell me, girl. I mean,
Yeah.
I very often plug my absolute favoriteest booze, and it's $80
Alchemy.
a bottle. This is not
Yeah.
shooting scotch. It's and every time I buy it, I'm
Yeah.
like
Oh, I
I buy
know.
it, and then you see like cheapo brand scotch. You're like, oh boy, I could buy like 10 bottles of that.
But when you know the difference, you know the difference. Like that's how it is for me. Like I just can't enjoy something if I can't appreciate it. And that's probably super like hipster to say, but it's true.
I mean, I don't think it is. I think that definitely transcends being a hipster when you understand the difference between spending more money and getting something that is significantly better quality. That's something
Right.
that transcends hipsterdom. That's something that's been people have been talking about since ancient days. You spend, you get what you pay for, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and with alcohol, it's definitely true. Although, like, that's one thing with wines that is hard for me to grasp is like how certain wines can get so expensive. Just like, but then you like they'll literally have like professional wine tasters who are like can't like sommeliers that can't distinguish between like this super expensive wine and this like mid-grade or whatever kind of wine. And I'm like, if they can't tell, like at that point you're just paying for an old thing because it's old, you know. I don't know. I'm not a wino, but it's hard for me.
I'm convinced that a lot of sommeliers kind of just understand the nature of wine tastings, and they're like, well, I know there's going to be these types of wines, and I know that this one is popular, and I know that that one is you know, they're not expecting some weird, you know, off-brand that they, you know, is not ever talked about from, you know, the middle of New York State, just a small winery. You know, they know, like, part of being a sommelier is knowing your brand and knowing what the business is, if that makes any sense.
No, definitely. I think it's just more like I can appreciate it more with like whiskey, because I think you remember there was like that chart posted in Finer Things that was like the aged whiskey, and it was like you could see the difference, and I love that about it. I love that, like when you have like a like your Balvenie is like what was it, 18 year or 15 year, like you can see the difference in that if you compare it to like a younger one.
Okay. Sammy is saying that your voice, Lissane's voice, has a little bit of lag. If anyone else wants to confirm that, and just let me know, because that is one thing I've been having a problem with. And anyone who watched the recent one with Maybe, it was like a good 2 seconds off. So that's one thing that I'm always constantly now worried about, is that the...
I wonder if it's Skype.
It's not. It has something to do with OBS, and I'm going to make an adjustment. We'll see if that helps. I'm going to change this to, 1 second here, -500. See if that helps at all. There we go. And let me know if that helped at all, Sammy. I just... God, and there's... You know what the other thing, too, is... It's weird that personal taste can mean so much. Like, there are some people who will just sit there and, if you don't drink whiskey is the only thing worth drinking. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I know.
And like, but then you'll have someone else who's like, I can't stand whiskey. The real alcohol is vodka. And then same thing. Wine, beer. It's like...
Yeah.
It's so much involved in what someone's personal taste is. You know?
I agree.
It becomes so subjective.
And it just feels really close-minded for someone to believe that, like, one thing is the only thing that's good. And especially, like, that drives me crazy with beer when people are like, I don't like beer. And I'm like, all beer? Because, like, that's a pretty big spectrum. Like, there's so many kinds, so many, like, ranges of, like, bitterness. And just, like, there's malty and hoppy and, like, all these just good things that you could try. It's like, maybe you just need to try more beer? I don't know. Maybe you just don't like beer. But it's just weird to me when people like taste a Bud Light when they're 18 and they're like, no, I don't like beer. Come on. Let's try harder.
I mean, I will say that, and with beer too, there's so many different kinds of beer. Like, I have to be honest, I don't like stouts.
That's fair, yeah. And like, when I didn't like any beer, when I was in like my early 20s, that like stouts and porters were the only thing I did like. So... just like, which is weird, I guess, to start on those, but that's how it was, because most people are gonna like enjoy fruity, weedy beers first, or like caramely, malty beers first, and
yeah,
that's how I'm with food too, though. If I don't like something, I'll come back to it a year later and try it again and be like, do I like it yet?
Thank you.
Because things change.
The only food I will not eat is tuna fish from a can and pepperoni, because when I was very young, I got sick on both of those. Like, I got sick after eating.
Oh yeah, that'll ruin it.
Separately, so, but like, I've had tuna steaks and they were amazing. Like, I had a grilled tuna steak once and it was amazing and I loved it. But it's a totally different thing than tuna fish from a can. You know. But when I started drinking beer, I used to love like reds. You know, like red beers and. Like, what was the other one? Honey wheat. There's like a very
Honey Weiss or whatever.
I don't know. There's like a very popular like name brand Honey Brown or something that I used to drink a lot of, and Killian's Irish Red. I can't touch those anymore. I'm like, this is garbage.
Yeah, your tastes change. I know. That's like one like variety I got into for a while was sour beers, but those are like definitely one of those things that people either love them or hate them because they are genuinely sour. And some people can't they think it tastes bad, you know?
Can I be honest with you?
Yes.
I neither love nor hate sours.
That's fair. There's so many, they're so different, too, from each other.
But you just said everyone either loves or hates them.
Well, that's usually my experience. You're the first person I've heard be, lukewarm.
I mean, I like them if I'm in the mood for one, it's delicious. And if I'm not in the mood for one, I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love a good Hefeweizen. Like, Hefeweizen is probably my favorite type of beer. And I always tell people, no, I understand Blue Moon tries to push this thing where you put an orange in it, and that's not the way it is. You're supposed to put lemon in it. Like,
is
typically, it? Yes. Typically, Hefeweizens are served with lemon, not orange. Like,
gotcha.
Orange was a marketing ploy that Blue Moon did in America, and it worked.
Go figure.
Yeah,
yeah I don't think I ever put anything with my beers. I don't know why. To me, it's like I just want to taste the beer. But I have blended different beers together. And that's kind of an interesting thing. I did do that on stream. It was fun. Although I had a guide.
You were even trying to describe it, but your camera mirrors the words and like...
Yeah.
And then after the first time or two, you're like, whatever, I'm blending. Here, I'm blending. Yeah. Shut up. Wow.
Well, yeah, because I found a New Belgium had a variety pack of all their beers, and it came with a little guide that was do 2/3 of this one and 1/3 of this one. And I'm like, well, if I do that, then I have 2/3 of that one now. The math doesn't work out if it's not 50-50. So then you end up drinking 2 beers instead of 1, and you just drink too much, basically.
It's almost like they planned that.
I know. Well, see, when I bought the variety pack, I thought that they came pre-blended. I didn't understand that I had to do it myself. Not that I mind, but it added an extra element of difficulty into the whole thing.
I mean, difficulty or fun? I would look at that as something that was a lot of fun. Because when I was watching you, because I watched that whole stream when you were doing the beer blending, I was like, I want to go out and buy beer and blend it now. It looked weird. Legitimately fun.
It was fun. I've never done it before or since because I don't even know how you would know what to put together. That's definitely above my head, but it was one of those things where their master brewers had come up with this complements that and this complements that. And some of them was a sour blended with a Belgian white, which sounds really weird mixed together if you know about those two styles of beer, but tasted great. So
can we just be honest though? I mean, how much of it is just hey, this is a really good beer and hey, this is a really good beer. So really pairing them together is just, it's going to be fine.
Exactly. And my first 2 beers that I just bottled, one is a Belgian triple and the other is a peach IPA. And of course, when we were bottling them, we had leftovers from each batch that didn't fill a full bottle. So we did a half and half of the 2. So I'm really curious to see how those go together because they totally are very different from each other.
And I'm sure it'll be fine.
I can't wait. Yeah, it'll be good. They're both so strong.
What do you have, another week?
Yeah, a week. Now I wish I had a beer. Honestly, I really planned poorly for this, talking about beer and not drinking it.
Wah, wah. I don't have any of my Streamlabs alerts set up for the Palaver scene, so I can't.
Oh my gosh! It takes so long. Speaking of that, I just got a Stream Deck. It takes so long to set stuff up on that thing. It's fabulous when it's set up, but I spent 4 hours one night just setting up sound effects, and I don't think I've really used any of them.
I think I told you the first night you got it, you're like, oh, I spent like an hour. I spent an hour playing with it. I'm like, yeah, be prepared to spend another 4. I think is what I told you.
Yeah, and it was fine because I was like staying up super late then anyway, so I had a lot of empty downtime I'm not used to in the middle of the night to just kind of fiddle around with it. But I don't know. Like, it's very fun, but now that I have it set up, I have like no desire to like fiddle with it much more, which I'm sure happens to a lot of people.
Well, I think you get to a point too where you get it. You get comfortable enough with it that you can make certain small changes or certain tweaks or add or remove things. Yeah. And it's fairly easy. You do it in like 10 minutes. Like when I made my AFK video for this month where I talk about my charity goal, to just switch scenes from my main gaming scene over to that. One button.
It's so easy,
another button
though.
to go back. It's
one of those things that you get it and you're like, how did I survive without it? Like it's just so much easier, especially like finer things. I set up a whole profile for that just like switches one after the other between everything, and it's just so nice, so much easier.
And the other thing too is certain games, when you're playing certain games, they don't like alt-tabbing out of those games.
No, definitely. And it's awesome for that because it's like, I have to AFK, and then you're staring at your screen with a blank face for 30 seconds while you're trying to alt-tab out and click on a different scene.
Yeah, and that's nice to just go, boop. But I was playing, what was I playing? Oh, Red Alert. I was playing Red Alert 2. And I played all the way through Red Alert 2, and it was so frustrating because you cannot alt-tab out of Red Alert 2. If you alt-tab out of Red Alert 2, the game just freezes up. You can't tab back to it. You have to force close it. And you can't even force close by clicking on it. You have to open up the Windows control task manager and force it. Like, it's bad.
That's awful. That's like the last thing you want to do, much less on stream. Because then it's just like, it's one of those whole to-dos. Like, I've been through that before where I'm like I was playing like Skyrim ages ago, and I had a cursor bug that kept happening, and I would have to restart the game. And it's like, I had to restart my game. There goes half my viewers. Like, why? It's just very disheartening when something like that happens. Now, how many times did you accidentally do that?
Just like once the first
good.
day. And then I was like, all right, whatever I do, don't alt-tab.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing that was annoying. First, I don't know why, but if I'm playing Red Alert 2, the Stream Deck doesn't work.
Oh.
So...
That's frustrating.
Oh, I know. And, like, you would think, well, why... I could kind of get if it stops working for the, like, hotkeys that I set up that are, like, control whatever. But when the button is set up to specifically call to OBS and call to an OBS function, why isn't that work? But this...
I've run into that too, and that's like, I guess one of the downsides is I feel like I'm always double checking it to make sure it did what I wanted it to do, which isn't a big deal, but it's like, if I hit the button that turns off my webcam to AFK, I want to make sure it's off, and trust it. But they seem like they've been updating it and making it a little more reliable lately.
Yeah, speaking of that, God, and you were sitting there going, oh, let me be professional and turn off my phone. And then there I've got my phone sitting directly under my microphone, and it starts making noises. Sorry about that.
Whatever.
Hashtag pro streamer.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is I set up an entirely new scene for the AFK, and it's even got a little countdown timer until I'm back. And it's 2 minutes because there's a Kona.
I was wrong. She wasn't here. I didn't even know.
It's her magical dragon soul.
Just
look at her just becoming the blanket.
I told you, you can't tell. I think she was there and I couldn't tell. She's that one.
I'm sorry. So anyways, what I was saying is I set up a new scene called my AFK scene, and now I just switch to it and then switch off. And so you've got a little countdown timer that says I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Oh, and I like that.
That's nice. It just completely switches the scene, and I think I'm going to do that from now on with my AFKs. It seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, I was definitely doing that like early on, and then I just kept switching the way I did it, and I just have come to that point where I don't know what I'm happy with yet. Basically, I'm never happy, never happy with my overlay, never happy with my scenes. I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Like, do you get like people who don't make their own overlays don't understand the struggle of constantly fucking with their overlays.
Yeah, and I think part of it is as long as like if you have even like a mediocre know-how of how to do any of it, then it's just like a constant thing that you like, I have to tweak it, I have to change it, I have to do this. Like I know like we were talking about my Final Fantasy one, like I changed it and you're like, oh, I kind of miss it. And I'm like, I know, I was just bored of it. I don't know. Like just needed a change. And I wanted to make something. Like, yeah.
When you said, I just wanted to change, I'm like, all right, fair. Yeah. I get it. I totally get it. Nope.
Yeah.
Sorry. Didn't mean to criticize. I wasn't criticizing.
No, I get it though. Like I loved that one and I like created it from scratch. So I had a lot of like pride in it, but also like I just wanted to make a new one because it's so fun to make a new one. And I was bored.
And here's the other thing too, like, so the overlay that people are seeing right now, the Rhev Palaver overlay, I've only changed the Rhev Palaver overlay, like this is only the third iteration of it in a year, which is insane, that I haven't changed it that much. And every time I look over at that screen and I see it, I'm like, oh, you know what I could do? Like, I keep thinking about things I could do to change it, but I'm like, you know what, though? There's a certain branding that goes along with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to keep changing the way my podcast looks. I want my podcast to look kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, vaguely consistent?
Yeah. No, I get that. And, like, that's definitely, I definitely get that because with finer things, it's been very frustrating because I always want to change things and add more to the screen. And like Sammy's been helping with the overlay on that. And then like you saw last week, I opened Discord and set our cameras up and they had just the Discord update had just rolled out and they had resized the webcam like aspect ratio. And I'm like, oh, why is this happening right as I'm starting the show? So we've got giant black bars above and below us in our most recent episode. And now I still need to fix that or I don't know. I got to figure it out. Discord is frustrating.
I think it worked fine the last Finer Things podcast. It worked fine. I think once you explained it, no one cared. Like I really don't think anyone cared. You know what I mean?
No, and it was like not noticeable enough that I feel like people could think it was intentional almost. So, but it's just I knew, and that's what matters.
The perfectionist in the overlay designer knows.
Exactly.
Christian says we need to have 5 overlays per game. 1 for rating, 1 for ERP, 1 for casual play, 1 for player shaming, and then etc. I feel like Christian just ran out of... He said 5 and then ran out of ideas. Good job,
what's
Christian.
The 5th one for, Christian? Yeah. Definitely you need your ERP overlay, though, because that's something you want to do on Twitch.
Yeah, maybe we could have, like, anime... girls like going like ooh tee like holding the camera frames or something. I don't know.
That would be fabulous.
Speaking of anime, I want to another thing I want and anime and overlays. So you and Sammy did a podcast the one week where Rinks suddenly got called into work that day and he couldn't do the Finder thing. So you guys did. I think you were calling it Small Girls Big Thoughts, but that was just like a working title.
It was, we called it Small Girls Big Topics, and then I think we're going to change it to Small Girls Big Thoughts. I'm not sure.
I still am pushing for waifu time.
I know.
I want to tell you why, because you guys are always like, waifu, to each other, which, so obviously there's that. But you know what the other thing is? Let's be honest. We want to get viewers, right? We want people to come in and... I think if you had waifu in the title of your stream, you'd get the occasional like random person popping in and being like, what's waifu? Like, especially when they see the previous screen and they see 2 girls talking. Yeah. On the little preview and it says waifu time. I think it's clickbaity enough without really being like if the title of your show is waifu time or waifu versus waifu or It's not
We're-
really clickbaity because that's your show.
I know we totally did that like on a whim, and now we've like gotten really into the idea, and we've been discussing like what we could do with it and all of these different things, and we're kind of thinking about like it had been discussed in the past doing some kind of a like Proper Nerds Ladies podcast, and we're like, well, this could sort of become that where it's like we bring on different like females occasionally from the community and chat with them. I don't know. We're not sure yet. We're going to be, I think we're going to be hosting it this Wednesday, but we're going to be doing it through Sammy's channel instead of mine.
I love it.
Yeah. It'll be
I
fun.
love it.
I'm excited.
Now, here's a question for you. I don't know if you've thought about this. Are you going to have Sammy stream it through OBS to her channel, or Sammy can actually make you a verified broadcaster to her channel?
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, because your internet is better than hers, so.
Yeah, we figured, well, that was what I told her. I'm like, so our two options are like either I can help you set everything up and all of that, or I can just do it for you essentially through your channel. And like, we basically were like, we'll see what we have time for, basically.
Yeah.
But
it's what I do with the Team MZ channel. Like, I don't get the key for Team MZ's channel. Like, I can't log into Team MZ as a Twitch viewer, but I have a stream key that was generated as I'm a registered broadcaster to that channel. So I get a stream key that's different than the main stream key for that channel. Because it's all just randomly generated numbers, you know?
Yeah, I was even going to ask you about it because I knew about like the editor function, but I've never actually obviously used it. So I wasn't sure how the stream key worked and everything, but yeah.
So basically what Sammy would do is she'd go into her dashboard and then go to channel, I think it is, and there's like a list where it says like allowed administrators or allowed streamers or something like that, and then she puts in your Twitch name and it will generate a Steam key for her to give to you, and then in OBS you just change your stream key from your current one for your channel over to that.
Perfect. Easy enough.
Yeah. It's easy. And then like I have a text file just sitting on my document that just says stream keys, and it's just my stream key for my channel, and then below that the Team MZ one. And so,
yeah, that's a good idea because
copy paste.
I've literally never had to change that since I started streaming, I think.
Well, you know what's funny is I was actually thinking about setting up Streamlabs OBS to always broadcast to the Team MZ channel. That way I wouldn't ever have to change it again. I would just boot up Streamlabs OBS for I don't know.
You know, I still haven't fiddled with Streamlabs OBS. I think I'm just being crotchety and not wanting to change.
I've used it. It's not bad. It's good. It definitely has some functionality that I really like. But right now, the one thing that I don't like is the same reason why I don't use Discord for this, which is they're constantly updating it. And so I know things are going to be changing.
Something you just log in one day and it's like, oh no, everything's broken.
But if you're already using Streamlabs, which listen, this message is not for Lissane. This message is for you watching at home. If you are a small streamer or someone who is just getting started, use Streamlabs. Just use Streamlabs. Go to streamlabs.com, sign up, use it, download Streamlabs OBS. Believe me, it will put so many things just in your hands. It's so much easier. Volk says she doesn't like slobs.
I just hate that it's named slobs. I think that's my biggest like thing against it right now is it being called slobs. It just sounds dirty and weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish they would call it anything besides that. Like just have given it like a name that was like one word and sounded nice.
Yeah. Or even like if they had changed it from like OBS to like Streamlabs Videocaster, and like you call it like SLBC.
Yeah, like or Streamlabs Broadcaster or something. Anything.
Even Streamlabs Broadcast Studio, although people would probably still call it SLBS.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
You gotta look at acronyms. You gotta look at that stuff ahead of time and think about what you're doing. Dude,
I still call it Ankbot, even though it's Streamlabs Chatbot now.
Because it doesn't flow well. It's too much of a mouthful, you know, to say Streamlabs Chatbot. I don't know. I think I've just been calling it the Chatbot or something. Streamlabs needs a rebrand.
It does, man. I don't know. Well, it's the SL. It's like, what do? You need, I don't know.
I know. Boring streamer stuff.
I know. I feel like we're getting so inside, but that's what this is about, right? It's just
Yeah.
two friends talking. You know what's funny? Ever since you said you wish you had a beer, I've been thinking, yeah, I could go for a drink.
Oh,
I
yeah.
may have to do another impromptu drinking stream. Maybe not this Friday, but maybe next.
Feeling it? Feeling the impromptu one?
I really like drinking.
I understand. Me too. Like, I would say I have at least, like, on average, one drink a day, but, like, not, big drinks or anything. It's just, like, most nights I will go to my fridge and grab a beer because I enjoy it. Or a gin and tonic, now that I have gin around.
Well, I don't know if you know this. So I have two health issues that both affected my drinking for many years. So when I was in my mid-20s, that's when I had my first gout attack, which is a type of arthritis, and alcohol can trigger it worse. Well, actually, three health issues. The second is in my late 20s, I had bad gallstones that literally almost killed me. Like, I was in the hospital for like 7 days. Like that's how
awful.
it was bad. And then the third thing was my weight.
Yeah.
So of these three factors, I basically didn't drink from about 29 till like 6 months ago.
I mean, that
Like,
was a
until we
smart
started doing
choice.
insurance.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I feel like, to be fair, when we, because I mean, that was kind of our idea initially, was the, like, let's just get together and have beer and chat. And it kind of evolved into more. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I would drink like once a year, and that was usually at Bob's Smoke Fest. It would be the only time I'd drink. And every time I'd be like, oh, I had so much fun, but now I have a gout attack.
Oh, yeah.
But after losing all this weight, like, that weight being a health issue is out the door. I don't know if I told you this. I'd like to lose another 15 pounds. Like, not anytime soon. Like, over the course of the next year. If I lose another 15 pounds, I will be down to the weight I was when I was, like, 21.
That'd be amazing. So, you should totally, like, do a screenshot comparison between, like, our first Palaver and then this one. Just the difference, I feel like, would be crazy. Just in that small amount of time.
Well, I had someone come by, and this was after I'd only lost about, 20 pounds. And they're like, hey, I haven't been around. My computer died, and I was out of the country. Whatever their fucking excuse was. Who knows? Whatever, But they hadn't been around for 3 months, and they're like, dude, are you okay? You look like, do you have cancer? I'm like, no, just.
Oh my God.
Like, they legitimately asked me if I had cancer.
Hashtag things you don't ask. I love how people's, but I mean that at least was well intentioned, and in the end comes out as a compliment.
Yeah.
It is a weird thing to ask someone.
I feel bad. I keep looking over at chat. I don't want anyone to think I'm not looking at chat. I have been trying to type into chat a little bit. I hope you guys all know I love you. And I'm sorry, Flamboy, that didn't work. By the way, Flamby, man.
Flamby's the best.
How much do you love these people who join the community and they're just instantly like, boom, they always belonged here. They just didn't know it. Like,
I told him that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like Sammy, Flamby, Volk, who else? Just so that I know there's more people I'm not thinking of. They just immediately fit right in. They're just like, oh yeah, they like always belonged here.
Yep, I know. It's like they like found their family. Not to be too cheesy or anything, but that's how it feels. And then some people just fit in really well. And I think it's why it's frustrating to me when I want to be like, join the Discord, hang out with us, talk to us, because I want cool people to like hang out and talk and strengthen the community as a whole.
All right, we're not going to say any names on your part. I will say a name for my part, but please don't. So I was talking to you the other day, and I was saying how frustrating it can be when you have these people who just private message you on Discord constantly. It's like, dude, I love you, but like, why are you not just saying this in the lounge? Like, what? Like, you want to have a conversation, so you're private messaging me because you want someone to talk to? Go to the lounge. There's like 12 people who will jump in on this conversation, And so this guy that I've known for over a year, and we met playing D&D on a forum. And, so he's been messaging me on Discord every once in a while, and he, like, sent me pictures of his tattoo that he was getting, and blah, blah, blah. Well, he recently decided, well, I'm going to try this streaming thing that you seem to be so interested in. And he joined our Discord. His name is Fox Raymond, like the noodles, ramen noodles.
Yeah.
And he loves foxes, so that's it. That's how he got the name.
That's
I love
awesome.
ramen noodles, and I love foxes, so the end. And, he's a great guy, a wonderful guy. So he messages me the other day. He's like, I streamed for 8 hours yesterday. I'm like, awesome, man. Congratulations. Again, thinking to myself, like, say this in the lounge, but whatever. And he's like, I only had one person talk to me the whole time. And I'm like, well, he must mean besides me, because I pop in and say hi to him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you understand that you're saying this, you're direct messaging one person to say this?
Yeah.
When what you could be doing is going into the community streamers channel and like saying like, hey, I just started, how do I get people to come to my channel? And like starting a conversation with other people.
Yeah.
He doesn't get it.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like when I started, like, it was just me, and like we're finding these people who are starting streaming and they have this resource at their hands, which is the community, and you just want them to utilize it and to use it and to like interact with people, because like if like having that gives you a huge step ahead. Like obviously there's the whole onus is still on you as a streamer, but it just gives you a resource that like a lot of people don't get the opportunity to have a chance at. Like it was really weird when I started streaming, just being like, click, I'm live. Like,
yeah,
I know nobody. Like it was really strange, and it would have been nice to have a community, but I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah,
Like Twitch communities. I was brand new.
well, I keep telling people Twitch is not a video game site. Like a lot of people think, oh, Twitch, it's video games. No, it's not. That's a mistake that a lot of people make. It's a social networking site. It's the same thing as Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. But while Twitter has short posts only, and Instagram has photographs, and Facebook has avoiding your aunt,
Yeah.
Twitch's thing is, generally speaking, video games. But it's a social networking site. And if you don't make use of that social networking, you're just
Right.
broadcasting to thin air,
Yeah, exactly. It's like the people who are not communicating with their viewers. It's like you got to have a back and forth, and like you don't just want to be the person who's kind of like staring off into nothing. And that's why like I also love, like I just saw Bebop chime in the chat. Like I love that she's doing like creative streams, because it's like, as much as I love playing video games and watching other people, like it's so cool to see people doing different stuff with the website, and it makes me want to do different stuff. Like I want to do like more like creative stuff so badly, and the only thing limiting me is just the logistics of it all, Like I have everything set up for gaming, and it would take a lot of effort and space that I don't really have to do something else more exciting.
Is it Rinsler was doing like cooking streams from his little tiny apartment kitchen, and he got a clamp to mount his, because he just does it right from his camera phone. He just does it right from his cell phone. Like that is so cool. I sat in his channel for like 2 hours watching him make cookies.
Yeah, and I want to do that, but it's like I think it's just my perfectionist again kicking in, which I'm like, I don't want to do it in my current kitchen, and I don't want to do it with like my phone, Like I want to have like a legit setup basically. And now I have technically 3 webcams since I just got the dog cam upgrade. So I'm like, I could have like a view of like the pan. I could have like a view over here. I could like switch between them with the Stream Deck, and I just have like all these ideas that I'm like, but I need more room to do all of these things.
You know what you have to do is you have to get a laptop so you can have like move everything and have it a little mobile and set things up just the way you want.
Exactly.
I've thought about that too. Like I would love to do a stream where I've tried to think about how I could do this, where I have like a Wi-Fi cam on my smoker outside, and I'm like streaming video games for 6 hours. And then occasionally I'm like, okay, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Check on the meat. And I go over and I walk away from my computer and go outside. And then I'm on the outdoor camera and I'm like, oh, look, they're coming along nicely. And then the camera can see the ribs and it can show the process of doing that. and just
That'd
go
be so
back and
fun.
forth between the two. But I mean, I just can't quite figure it out, and especially since I moved my computer to a back bedroom, it's nowhere near the area where I smoke anymore.
Right.
So it's kind of like
I
don't
know.
know.
I know. It's like there's so many good ideas, but it's just logistics are very hard and technically expensive and all those things.
Dude, right? Oh man, like I constantly have all these ideas, and I'm like, all right, how much would it cost if I wanted to do that? And then as soon as I start getting into like the $80-$90 range, I'm like, well, can't afford
Yeah.
that. Forget it. Forget it. I can't afford to
Exactly.
drop. I don't know.
It's fun, though.
I
I don't know.
it's tough, man. It's tough when you got some people, like, for example, I'm going to mention D-Bach, right? He works a full-time job, and then he still streams like 20 hours a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got someone like me, I stream between 30 and 40 hours a week, so like full-time I stream, and then I work part-time, but then the upshot is I don't have money, so you can't do the fun extra it's tough. Actually, if you don't mind, I'm just going to real quick let everyone know, because I'm not going to run the ad, I'm not going to run a video, but I announced today on stream the local animal shelter in my area. It's one of the oldest, it is the oldest animal shelter in the county, and it's run pretty much entirely by volunteers. There's one administrative assistant, and it's February, so it's cold, and their heating costs are through the roof. They sent out a letter on Friday. They're running a fund drive, trying to raise money because they're poor. So I've decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to donate 100% of all profits I make from subscriptions to my channel, and a portion of any profits I make from donations and cheers in the month of February to the animal shelter. And when I told you about this, and you're like, well, what percentage? And I said, well, you know what? I don't want to say that, because I want to give them at least like $50, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to give them a minimum amount. So if I say like half, and then I only make like $30 in profit, like I would feel way too shitty just being like, well, here's $15, dummies.
Yeah.
So
It's a
I
good
just figured I'd
cause,
mention
though.
that.
No, you
Yeah,
should.
because animals. I used to have 2 cats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had to put one down because he was sick. But
It's rough.
yeah, Sterling, his ashes are up on our counter next to my wife's father's ashes. We got
Oh.
2 little urns. Well, one larger urn for Angie's dad, and then one little tiny urn for Sterling. Because he was, such a part of our life.
Yeah.
He was a good boy.
They're all
yeah.
they're all the goodest boys.
Yeah. Camille and he did not get along the best, though. They lived together for a little over 2 years, and they just...
It's the funny thing
Yes.
about cats, man. Like, my parents had cats that were lived together for like 8 years, and they hated each other, all 8 of them. That's just
move,
cat.
Maggie.
That was a good move.
And it wasn't like they hated each other. Just, we always thought, like, oh, eventually they'll be friends. No.
No,
I think
cats.
Sterling liked Camilla. Camilla wanted nothing to do with Sterling.
She seems like a fancy girl, though. So
You can say it. She's a bitch.
yeah, but like that's okay in cats. Like people expect cats to be that way. So
Yeah. I guess it is. Hey, you know what? On the topic, I know this is going to be a little bit of a downer.
okay.
I've started to think well, Camilla's 9 years old. That's easily midlife for a house cat, right?
Yeah.
They only live, house cats only live 18 years.
That yeah,
Alert.
I mean, and that
One of your
you
viewers
shot a
has just
sub.
subscribed.
Yeah, go.
Oh, thank you very much to Hazmat for the subscription. Thank you very much. Big ups. Oh, whoop whoop. Thank you very much, Hazmat. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say that's assuming that old age is what gets them, because there's a million other depressing things that can happen with cats. Like my parents had a perfectly healthy cat that we had for since I had been in junior high, and then my dad called me one day and said, "Oh, the cat has mouth cancer, so we have to put him down the next day." And it's just
Yeah.
but like 14 doesn't seem like it's not super old for a cat, you know, but like depressing topic basically.
Yeah, I know. We'll bring it around to something fun in a second, but like poor Darth Bex. Oh my god, they say it's something like less than 1% of house cats ever get FIP, and then even cats that get FIP, some of them like beat it and like develop an immunity. She loved Kitley. Like Kitley was her daughter, and then so Kitley, she has to put Kitley down because of FIP, and then she gets 2 new cats and she has them for a week, and then Triss has FIP.
Yeah, that's like my heart hurt so much for her when she mentioned that to us. Like there's just no words to explain that. It's just awful.
Dude, I was streaming when I found out about Kitley.
Yeah.
I had to take like a 5-minute AFK, and I just like the feels were too intense. I was like,
oh, I know. Like there's like full disclosure, like there's times I'll be looking at like Maggie or Kona and just be like, you're gonna die someday, and I'm going to cry right now because I'm thinking about that. Like I can't think about it. It's too sad. Yes. Because they're just they're your family, you know?
Yeah. That's exactly where I was going to go with that is, do you ever just look at your fur babies and just go like, I love them so much and I'm going to outlive them. And then just start like crying. Like,
like she won't be there like sleeping in the corner with me, you know?
It's just the worst. Oh, good. I'm glad Bex missed it. I'm glad Bex missed it. We were talking sad talk. So let's bring it around to happy talk, right?
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to happy talk. Because we only have a few minutes. Believe it, I can't believe how quickly the hour goes when I talk to you.
I know. It's because it's the same conversations we have like anytime, basically.
You know who else is like this? Every time I talk to D-Bach.
Yeah.
D-Bach, same way. Like, I look down at the clock, and then I look down at the clock, and it's 82 minutes later, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, D-Bach. My bladder's about to explode. That's the only reason I looked at the clock.
Yeah. Yeah, ugh. That's always a good timer.
Yeah. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm gonna wet my pants if I don't
Gotta go to the Wiz Palace.
as we say here in Pawnee.
Yes.
All right. I'm struggling to think of a happy topic to just like slam it back on. So let's do one that I know we're both gonna enjoy. When the fuck is multiplayer Stardew Valley coming out? Like legit. I know they said first quarter.
They did, didn't they?
They did.
It's the first quarter nearing the second quarter.
Like, aren't we halfway through the first quarter?
It's like, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, I want it to be good when it does come out. So I appreciate that they're not rushing it. But also, like, give me my multiplayer Stardew Valley because I'm like back into it now. So like, I just don't want it to come out when I'm like 100% burned out on the game. But it's just, just come out because you're going to miss your window of opportunity, you know? Like,
the Lissane window.
Yeah, which is the important one, obviously.
Obviously. I mean, no matter what, when it comes out, they're going to have people jumping all over it to play it. But the important thing is that it's convenient for you.
Obviously. Lissane. Yes.
Obviously.
I don't know. I hope that it comes out soon. I've seen some like cool stuff that they've shown, like people like traveling to different places that don't exist in the single player or like will exist in the single player. But I feel like they had those like big plans when it was just a PC game, but then they were like, hey, we can port this over to all the consoles. And then all of the resources went into that instead of multiplayer. Understandable from a profit standpoint, but and then Switch. So then it got ported to Switch, which is huge. It's probably an amazing game to have for the Switch because then you have handheld Stardew. But I just want multiplayer.
I know. Hey, can I tell you real quick, too? I've been selling everyone on, like, Witcher 2. If you liked Witcher 3, you like Witcher 2.
Yeah.
Dude, I played Witcher 2 for about 2.5 hours today, and I had to stop playing it. I got the first instance of fuck this game.
What happened?
Okay, so you have to understand the way Witcher 3 is the superior of the games, right? That should not be a big surprise.
Of course.
But Witcher 2 is, like, good enough. Like, if you had never played Witcher 3, you'd play Witcher 2 and be like, wow, this game is unbelievably good. Like, you would say, this game's almost as good as Skyrim level good, you know?
Yeah.
But one of the things is it's kind of a little bit more on rails. Like, you really feel all the invisible walls in the game. Like,
Yeah.
it tries to make you think you're running through a forest, but it's not. There's very delineated paths. And you always feel like you're fighting in tunnels because...
So is it not open world like the third one?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, not really. It's hard to describe. But anyways, today I got to this point where they say, okay, use the ravines to get from point A to point B. And the ravines are like this maze of, like, you're running through these ravines and there's cliffs on either side of you. So it's not even hiding the fact that you're running down tunnels.
Yep.
And I couldn't figure out where the hell to go. And there was one point where I'm like looking down, like I'm on a hill, and then like there's a 4-foot drop, and there's another path. And I'm like, if I could just get down there, I could. But it's an invisible wall.
Yeah.
And I probably spent half an hour running around these stupid ravines trying to figure out where to go. And finally what it was like just a very narrow, like Geralt width path that I had to go down where there was a lot of shrubbery and bushes that I didn't even and it was like, it went like this and then immediately turned. So there was still it looked like it was just rock wall.
That's so frustrating. I've been in those situations in games. I remember having like a very similar situation playing like Dragon Age Origins, and it was just like I hated that part so much because it was so frustrating. Yeah. And
there's like the quest markers and minimap are not like they're terrible. It's one of the worst parts about the game is there's no white line to guide you.
Yeah.
Like there will be some quests have markers that like say, well, this is where you got to go, but not all of them. And a lot of times, even though it's like, well, this is where you got to go, it's on the other side of the map, and you have to wind through a maze of paths to get there. You don't know how to get there.
That's frustrating. I'll keep that in mind because I did buy it when you guys said it was $3. So I'm sure eventually I'll get to it. You know.
Listen, you love Geralt, so you'll love it. Yeah. It's a great game. And do you remember Vess in Witcher 3, the blonde soldier? Totally banged her.
Hell yeah.
I got to bang her in Witcher 2. Like
That's
awesome.
And
you can turn her down with the option like, no, I'm with Triss, because like you start out with Triss in this game.
Yeah, lore.
And you have the option of like say like, no, I'm with someone, meaning Triss. I'm like, no sir, we are going to bang Vess.
Getting all the bitches.
Oh, and let me tell you another thing too. Sex scenes in Witcher 2 way better than in Witcher 3.
That's what I heard, and like I saw one on Josh Critt's stream, and I was just like, whoa. This is lewd. Like, had you not researched the like nudity guidelines for Twitch and like what was and wasn't allowed, I would have been nervous about like that getting streamed, you know?
Like you can play through it, but you can't like save right before it and then just play that scene and over and be like, oh, I'm just playing a game.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Like that'll get you in trouble, you know?
Of course.
You know? Well, listen, it's 9:03. I don't know why, but I always seem to go over time with you. So, as we do, we're going to wrap up. If you're watching, stay tuned. We're going to drop a host bomb on someone else in the Proper Nerds. And thank you all for stopping by. Thank you, Matt, for the resub. Much appreciated. Listen, you know how we like to end this, so it's not going to be a surprise for you. What's the final word?
Get in the Proper Nerds Discord and chat with all of us because we're awesome and you're awesome, and we want to make our community a more awesome place.
More awesome place.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. I had someone else that I wanted to get on, but then they were like, I got to work. Can I push back to next Monday? And I was like, oh, sure, no problem. And I was like,
kind of figured.
I like talking to Lissane. Well, actually, that's like the second week in a row that happened. And last week, I just canceled the podcast. I was like, I don't feel like doing it, you know?
It happens. I had canceled mine too, so.
All right. We're going to get out of here. So let's say goodnight. Make sure everyone here should be following twitch.tv/Lissane, but on the off chance that you're not already, come on. What are you doing? twitch.tv/Lissane. Follow her. Show her some love. And we'll see y'all in Discord. Good night, everyone.
Hey guys.
Night, night.
Rhev is logging out of the system. Please stand by for a raid on another Twitch streamer. Establishing connection now. Please hold.
I like it. I like it. I like it.